Welcome back to Dragons and Spaceships. Today is an emotional heavyweight, one that asks a difficult question about guilt, forgiveness, and whether love can survive the worst versions of ourselves. We are talking today about Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover, a novel that has resonated deeply with readers and has recently made the leap from page to screen. This is a story about motherhood, second chances, and the long shadow of grief, not just for the people who suffer loss, but for those who caused it. But okay, before we dive into the rest of today's episode, let's talk about a quick trending book spotlight on a title that is still beloved in romance spaces, The Kiss Quotient by Helen Hong. This sweet and steamy romance has been a longtime favorite since it debuted, and it continues to get buzz for its refreshing characters, emotional depth, and respectful portrayal of neurodiversity. The story follows Stella Lane, an econometrician who is brilliant with numbers but awkward in love. So she hires an escort to help her start practicing dating, which of course leads to way more than practice. Readers adore this one for its combination of humor, heart, and chemistry that feels real, plus the way it challenges traditional romance tropes with empathy and confidence. If you're looking for a romance that's fun, heartfelt, and hands down irresistible, The Kiss Quotient is absolutely one worth checking out. Reminders of Him follows Kenna, a young woman who returns to her hometown after serving 5 years in prison. She's not coming back for closure, she's coming back for her daughter. Kenna gave birth to DM while incarcerated, and when she's released, she discovers that her child has been raised by others who believe Kenna should remain far away. From the moment she arrives, it's clear that the town hasn't forgiven her, and more painfully, they may never. Kenna's past is tied to a devastating accident, one that claimed the life of DM's father and left behind a community fractured by grief and blame. This is a story that begins after the worst has already happened and asks whether rebuilding is even possible. Kenna is a deeply flawed protagonist, and that's what makes her compelling. She's remorseful, she's determined, and she's painfully aware that wanting redemption doesn't mean she deserves it. Opposite her is Ledger Ward, a local bar owner and close friend of the man who died. Ledger is kind, protective, and deeply loyal, especially to DM and the people who stepped in to raise her. When Kenna and Ledger form an unexpected connection, the tension isn't just romantic, it's moral. Ledger is caught between empathy and loyalty, between the woman standing in front of him and the friend he lost. Their relationship unfolds quietly, built on shared moments, restrained longing, and the constant fear that truth will destroy everything. At its core, Reminders of Him is about accountability. This is not a story that excuses harm. Instead, it explores what happens after accountability when punishment has ended, but consequences remain. The novel asks, is forgiveness something that must be earned or something that must be chosen? Can someone be both responsible for tragedy and worthy of love? And how do we protect children without turning grief into cruelty? Kenna's journey is not about being forgiven by everyone. It's about learning how to live with what she's done and still fight for the life she wants to build. Colleen Hoover's writing in Reminders of Him is emotionally immediate. The prose is accessible, but the emotions are not easy. Much of the story is driven by internal conflict, guilt, restraint, longing, rather than dramatic twists. Letters play an important role in the narrative, allowing readers to witness Kenna's inner world in the way that she feels raw and unfiltered. This emotional clarity is part of why the book has translated so powerfully beyond the page. With the recent film adaptation, Reminders of Him has reached an even wider audience. The movie leans into the story's emotional core, grief, love, and redemption, bringing Kenna's internal struggle into a visual, embodied form. As with many adaptations, the film necessarily condenses and reshapes moments from the book, but its existence speaks just to how strongly the story resonates. If you have seen the movie first, then the novel offers deeper access to Kenna's thoughts, her remorse, and the slow, fragile rebuilding of trust. This book left me thinking about how rigid we can be when it comes to forgiveness. How easy it is to say someone should live with their choices and how much harder it is to imagine what that actually looks like. Reminders of Him doesn't ask us to forget the past. It asks us whether we believe people are more than the worst thing they've ever done. If you have read the book or watched the movie, I'd love to know. Did Kenna's story change the way you think about redemption? And where do you personally draw the line between protecting the innocent and allowing second chances? But all right, book dragons, let's light up the dragon's roar with a wild, fun one that has been getting a lot of attention. How to Kill a Guy in 10 Dates by Shaylee Thompson. This book dropped recently and fans are absolutely here for it. It's a bold, irreverent romantic comedy with a twist. The protagonist, Natalie, absolutely does not want to fall in love and definitely doesn't want to be vulnerable. But then she gets roped into this ridiculous scheme where her best friend makes a list titled How to Kill a Guy in 10 Dates, which, to be clear, is just a tongue-in-cheek guide for how to make sure a relationship never sticks. Of course, things don't go as planned because in a classic romantic comedy fashion, the accidental feelings start happening. And suddenly the person she definitely wasn't supposed to catch feelings for becomes unforgettable. Readers are raving about the humor, the chaos, and how sharply funny the voice is, especially the way Natalie navigates dating with friends egging her on. If you're craving romance that's snarky, self-aware, and full of laugh-out-loud moments, this one's generating buzz as a fresh, fun ride. Reminders of Him is a story about love that hurts and love that heals, about showing up when even forgiveness isn't guaranteed, and about courage it takes to keep reaching for connection even when the world tells you to stay away. Thank you for spending this time with me on Dragons and Spaceships. If this episode resonated with you, consider sharing it with someone who loves emotionally rich stories, the kind that doesn't offer easy answers but asks meaningful questions. Until next time, keep reading, keep exploring, and may your TBR pile never stop growing.